Hi everyone, this is Diane at the Pick a Fence Greenhouse and Gardens. Today's January 18th, 2011, and I am getting started on doing I did some cuttings yesterday of some plants I have here in the house, and I'm just going to kind of show you how I do that, how I took my cuttings and I'm going to now plant them in a flat with some good soil so they'll take root, so they'll make new plants later on. And I'm just going to give you a close-up here. I took some cuttings of some ivy that I have here in the house. I keep these over because they're great house plants, but I take like a 3 to 5 inch cutting, and I will root these today. Put them in the tray to root them. Okay. Usually you'll take new growth. A lot of these were newer growth that we're growing on the main mother plant, and those are the ones that'll take root much faster. So I'm just going to kind of go through that with you today, how to do cuttings from a mother plant and how to make more plants. Okay, this is just one of the plants I do. I also do cuttings from a few other plants that I have indoors here, and I'll probably do a video on those too. I'm also going to show you how things are going with my seed starting. I got a lot of things germinated already, and it's pretty fun to show you and see how they're doing. I have a lot of things on the heat mat right now that are in the process of germinating. Be a couple days and I'll have quite a few more flats. So let's get started. I'll bring you in a little closer. Okay, as you can see, I have my cuttings here, and I'm just going to show you what I did yesterday on how I cut these. This one's an end piece. You can see where this one's an end. Now, to get these to root, I'm going to take a few leaves off right here on these sections. Although, when I lay these in the flat, they might root on this whole section here, because that's just what the ivy does. The ivy can grow on a lot of different things. This ivy in particular here was growing up on my wall back in my patio, so it does root fairly easy. But to get it started, I like to take a few of the leaves off here, and then I'm going to put it in some rooting hormone. Most of you are probably familiar with that. And then place it in my soil right here and just cover it up like that. Okay, I will do that with all of these that I have cut up here. Some will take root a little faster, and then others will just, they're going to take a little time. This one here already has some roots coming. So I'm going to put a little bit of rooting hormone on there, and then place it in the flat and just pat it down just slightly. Now I have to start these already because last year I started them a little later, and it took a little time to get them to grow, so I wanted to start them a little earlier this year so they are ready, for sale later on. Okay, and you can see this is really a pretty simple process. This one here, you can tell how I cut them. This is not an end piece, but this is kind of in the middle of the whole section of the the leaf, the branching, but it still will root. And I'm going to probably show you later on how well these do root. And like I said, they're going to root along this whole section probably. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and complete this. And when I get this all done, then I'm going to show you what I do after I get everything, get all of them with the rooting hormone placed in dirt, and then I'll show you what I do next. Okay, I got a whole flat completed. What I'll do now is I'll water these in and then put a dome plastic lid on them. I do want to say that last year I got by with just placing the plant on top of the soil and it rooted. Okay, this year I'm just going to try something a little different. It's going to work either way as long as I have some warm heat, because I will be placing these on my heating mat. The warm heat really puts to grow a little faster than it would normally if you were just doing it in a regular setting. But as long as you have some bottom heat, it's going to make them root a little easier. So I'll water this in. And the soil I used is the soil I normally use for when I plant. You could probably get by with a good peat perlite mix. Nothing too heavy. I wouldn't use anything too heavy. A soilless mix works really great for cuttings. Something that will not, create disease on your roots. So that's why I use the soilless. Once I have these watered in, then what I do is I just use one of these plastic dome lids like this. Okay, these are some I had last year, so they got some water spilled spots on them. But when I get this done, then I will place this on the mat, the heating mat. Now that I have them on the heating mat, the cuttings, I have one more tray to do. But these will stay on here for a while, and I'll check them every day for moisture and to see if they're rooting. And once they start rooting, then I will be transplanting them. Okay, so that's pretty much how you do your cuttings. I will be doing more cuttings, so stay tuned. Now I'm going to kind of give you an update on some of the things that's going on here. Alright, let's do that. Okay, I'm in my room here, my cooler room, where it's a little cooler for things to grow. But check out my lettuce, my black-seeded lettuce. In some of my other videos you would have seen where I was planting this lettuce, but this stuff is growing crazy. I come down here and take a little bit off every day and eat it. It's doing very well. I could even transplant them in some larger pots if I wanted to. Here's my kale. These guys, I'll show you what they look like. I still have some in these little trays, which they don't look very good right here, do they? No. Those need transplanted. But look what they became. As you can see, they become very pretty, lush, and they're doing really well down here. This is the kale. And I have them in kind of a cooler area. Here's some of my pepper plants, the pickled peppers that I transplanted. As you can see, they're really starting to grow. Looking pretty good. I'd like to put a fan in here though and toughen them up. I like to have a fan going that it's good for circulation. Not only that, but it also helps strengthen the plants, gets them a little stronger, because they get a little bit flimsy when they're growing indoors. I also have some more lettuce, and this is my herbs, oregano, stuff that's needs a little time yet. I got some thyme and rosemary, but I'm glad I started them already because these will be really nice and big by the time I go out in the greenhouse. Here is some sedum. These are sedum flowers. These are the voodoo and the lizard. That you can barely see them, but there's a little green specks down in there. They're coming really good. I raised the light. Normally I keep the lights on all my newly planted stuff very close so they don't stretch and get leggy. But here I have, these are some perennials. They're just coming. You probably can barely see them, but they're coming. Once I see some growth when they germ, I pull them off that heating mat and get them under some lights in a cooler room. And I tell you, it helps to prevent stretching, keeps your plants a little more stout growing, and these are coming, and they will come. This is some echinacea here, I think, but it's growing really good. These guys, I'll give you an update on them later on how they grow, but everything looks really good right now. I had to show you my lipstick plant. It's really going to town right now. I know I did videos on them, but I had to show it to you again. This one is just such a pretty plant. Hope I'm not getting too close so you can see those blossoms. They're just something. I thought, share that with you. A lot of people haven't seen the lipstick plant. I had to give you an update on my goldfish plant. It's really blooming, and I wanted to show it to you one more time. This is a really pretty plant. I love the fact that it's got glossy leaves, and the blossoms are just really unique. And they call it a goldfish for a good reason. As you can see the flower on it. This one I will be able to take cuttings off of. I will be able to grow new ones, and that's what's going to be fun. So just give you an update on that one. Okay, well, that's about it for today. I'm going to finish. I still have a few cuttings here to do that I'm going to, these ivy cuttings that I need to put in some soil. I'll do one more tray of them, and then I'll have 2 trays to watch them grow and to see how they do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. And visit my blog if you like, my gardening blog at picketfencegreenhouse.info, and we'll see you on the next video. See you later.